It was one of those ordinary weekdays, the kind that blends into each other with a hum of routine. David had just returned home from work, kicked off his worn-out shoes, and flopped onto the couch, exhausted but oddly content. The evening light filtered through the half-open curtains, casting long stripes across his living room floor. He grabbed his phone, scrolling through endless notifications, mostly trivial messages and missed calls from friends. He barely remembered calling. It was a quiet kind of loneliness, the soft sort that you almost forget exists until a silence reminds you. That night, as he was about to drift into sleep, his phone vibrated sharply on the nightstand. The screen flashed an unknown number. He frowned, rubbed his eyes, and let it ring through to voicemail. Probably some telemarketer, he muttered to himself, shaking his head with a smirk. But there was something strange, something familiar, almost haunting, about the tone of that number. He shrugged it off and fell asleep. The next night, it happened again. The same unknown number, arriving like clockwork at precisely 11:47 p.m. David began to notice a pattern, a rhythm that gnawed at the edge of his mind. His curiosity clashed with a strange discomfort, a prickle in his chest he couldn't quite explain. He considered blocking the number, even laughing at himself for feeling a tiny twinge of dread over a stranger's call. But a part of him hesitated, like an instinct tugging him toward the phone, saying, "Just answer it." Over the following week, the calls became almost ritualistic. Each time, the phone rang once, sometimes twice, and then went silent. No message, no voice, just the haunting emptiness of the line. David started losing sleep, imagining all sorts of scenarios. Maybe it was someone who needed help, maybe some prank, maybe something more. He tried talking to his friends about it, but no one understood. They shrugged and joked. "Maybe it's your future self calling." David laughed along, but inwardly, he felt a growing sense of something unresolved. One particularly restless night, David sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above him. His mind wandered to his mother, who had passed away 5 years ago. The thought made his throat tighten. Memories flooded back, her soft laughter echoing in the kitchen, the way she hummed while folding laundry, the smell of her perfume lingering in the hallway. He remembered her phone number too, vaguely, like an old melody that played in his subconscious. On impulse, he checked his phone's call history. His heart almost stopped. The number calling him every night was his mother's old number, disconnected years ago. David sat frozen, the room suddenly heavy with both grief and wonder. He touched the screen as if to reach out, but no amount of swiping or tapping could bring her back. He laughed nervously, a little bitter, a little aved. "This is insane," he whispered to himself, eyes watering. How could a disconnected number call him? And yet, here it was, night after night, as if she were trying, somehow, to reach him. A small, ironic smile crossed his lips only. My mother would manage something like this. The realization struck him in waves. Maybe it wasn't a technical glitch. Maybe it wasn't a ghost in the sense he feared. Maybe it was simply love, the kind that doesn't leave when a person does. He could feel her presence in the tiny, almost imperceptible things. The familiar ringtone, the timing, even the single, unanswered call. It was as though she was saying, "I'm still here," in ways you'll only understand when you listen with your heart. From that night onward, David didn't fear the call. He even began to look forward to it, a quiet, tender moment in the solitude of his nights. He started leaving small messages to himself, little notes about his day, hoping that, in some way, she might hear them. There was a strange comfort in this ritual, a mixture of grief and warmth, sorrow and absurd humor, because who else would he know that called so mysteriously? Who else could make him feel so seen and silent? Months later, David would tell this story to friends, often pausing for dramatic effect, sometimes laughing at the absurdity, and yet the lesson lingered, heavy and profound. Love, he realized, does not end. It doesn't vanish with time or distance. Sometimes it calls quietly from a place we cannot reach, waits patiently in the unseen, and teaches us that even when someone is gone, the bond remains, shaping us, comforting us, reminding us that we are never truly alone. And so, every night, when his phone lit up with that familiar number, David smiled. Not with fear, not with longing, but with gratitude for a love that never really leaves.